Now, listen up.
3, 2, 1.
It's showtime.
That's great.
This is ridiculous.
99.3 The Truth.
You can't handle the truth right now.
Ooh.
That was the stupidest thing I ever heard.
Let's do it.
Hit it. It's time for Mac's World.
And here we go.
Everybody, let's get it started. Let's get it started.
Call Mac 244-0077 or text 809-0993.
It's showtime, everybody! Showtime!
Exclusively on 99.3 The Truth.
All right, good afternoon. 7 minutes after 3 o'clock, here we are once again. My favorite chair. Well, not my favorite, my second favorite chair in the world. My favorite chair would be the one that my puppy is sitting on my lap. I could bring my dog in here. I guess he could sit on my lap during the show. There's no rules about that, is there?
Might be a bit of a distraction.
A puppy would never be a distraction, Mr. Roloff.
You don't think it would be a distraction?
Not to me.
Okay.
You think would it distract you?
I think it would distract you. Mm-hmm.
Yes. Oh, you think it would distract me?
Yeah.
Well, could a distraction be a good thing?
No.
No? Okay. Well, you know what? You're right. We need to get rid of all distractions that I have on this show that may cause this show to not work properly. Don't you agree we need to get rid of all those? Frank's got his hand up. Are my jokes that obvious?
Yes.
You know, I want to start out by saying something. I spent this weekend listening to some shows from last week because my computer didn't work all week. And I just want the listeners to know, and I'm going to say this on the air live in front of Frank, looking at Frank, I love you, brother. And I give you a bad time because I love you. And if you ever feel like I am being offensive or rude to you, I never want to do that.
Well, you told me before, if I ever go across the line, be sure and put you in your place, and you've never went across the line.
Okay, yes, you have. Yes. Any friend of mine or listener of mine, by the way, listener, you have the same thing. I know too well how people on the radio or TV or basketball players or football players or race car drivers or I know how sometimes you can feel detached from them because they're doing something that you think you could never do or didn't want to do.
They're aloof.
That isn't me. Okay, when somebody comes up and says, "Oh, it comes up to me and says they listen to me," I am so thankful for that person coming up, and I always say the same thing. Thanks for listening to me. Make sure you tell me if there's something I do or say that you disagree with. Do it nicely. But I need to hear it. And so the same thing comes on the other thing, with Frank. I give Frank a bad time. I give Chris a little bit of bad time. Bob, I don't give a bad time to because I don't like him. Because I only give bad time to people I like. And Jebediah, he's coming up the ranks. Hey, guess what? Listen to this, Chris.
What?
Jebediah made the biggest mistake today. He invited me to meet his family.
Oh.
Yeah.
Sorry, bro.
Yeah. When
it's all downhill from here.
When the new team member says, "Oh yeah, I'd like to come over and meet my parents and my girlfriend and her parents and my sister," and I'm just should I wear the yellow leisure suit?
Please do it.
You know I have one, right?
This is the first time I'm hearing of it, but I want to see it.
He really does. And the last time I saw him in it, he was wearing a Hawaiian shirt underneath it, unbuttoned down to about his stomach.
Yeah. But this is okay, so I'm just going to tell you. So back in the 70s, I was a disco DJ. You know what disco was?
Yep.
I was a disco DJ at a place in Lincoln, Nebraska. The hottest place in town, right? Everybody goes there. And I bought a yellow, not a bright yellow, kind of a faded yellow leisure suit with the chains, right? And the Elvis sunglasses. And I've got these bright shoes that have like a 6-inch heel on it. And I have been known to wear that.
And what was the number one record you spun?
Oh, it was the Bee Gees.
Bee Gees.
Yeah, everything was staying alive back then. It was the soundtrack from Urban Cowboy. It was Yvonne Ellerman. I Don't Know How to Love Him. Anybody, you never heard that song? Anybody ever heard that song? That is a song that actually Yvonne Ellerman sang to Jesus in Jesus Christ Superstar. If you go back and watch that, Yvonne Ellerman sang the song, I don't know how to love him. Anyway. All right, let's get to the news because we've got one big news story that I'm going to really ask your participation on. And that is 515-244-0077. Paul, get ready. Lisa, get ready. Gwen, get ready. Wendy, get ready. Jill, get ready. Tim, get ready. All those folks that will call in. George, get ready. Brad, well, maybe not Brad. Yeah, Brad, you can call. I want to know what we should do about a certain situation we have in our community right here in Des Moines, Iowa. It happened twice today. This is Monday, the 23rd of May. And twice in our community already, we have had an elementary and a high school emptied because of a bomb threat. We need to talk about this. What should we do if this continues to happen? Are we going to let the terrorists, because that's what they are. Okay, and I don't think they're a Saudi or Arab. I think they're a redheaded white boy who goes to Valley High School who thinks it'd be funny if he calls up and from a what do they call that, Bob? A non-traceable number and says, hey, I've got a bomb in your school. It's going to blow up in an hour. That's terrorism, right? You're trying to terrorize people.
Yes, I think that's terrorism.
Okay. I don't know. Anyway, we'll talk about it. All right, first news story. Police found 45 caliber shell casings outside a home in northern Des Moines. Remnants of a drive-by shooting involving a group of kids. Now, just listen to that. Now, if you're driving, don't close your eyes. But if you're sitting someplace, listen to this. I'm just going to say it a little differently. A bunch of kids were playing in a neighborhood, and they found gun shells when the kids were shot at. Police arrived at 5th and Beckwith Avenue, 7:07 p.m. The caller said he saw people firing guns from a red-colored Chrysler car at a group of kids on the sidewalk. The kids then piled into a tan Toyota Camry and drove off, but when police found the Chrysler, it had bullet holes in the body, and its occupants said they were the victims of the shooting. 4 bullet holes were left in the north side of a home on the same street. Police discovered the same amount of shell casings in the front yard. There were no other evidence police could find at the scene, but a neighbor provided surveillance video of the incident. That's cool. The neighbor provided video. See, I've got that on my house. I shouldn't have said that. Why did I say that out loud? Anyway, what a tragedy. Here we are, summer. Frank, you and I talked about this several times on the air, that as soon as summer hits,
yeah,
you get into that.
The element seems to come out the woodwork as as the weather gets warm,
and it just seems to be mostly in that the Drake neighborhood. I don't know what you want to call it. I call it the hood.
Well, if you ever used to scoop the Des Moines Loop, you know that element that kind of come out after midnight.
When you were a kid?
Yeah, well, even in the 70s and 80s when you scooped the loop, there was that certain element that came out during the summertime, and they all hung around corners, and they had their little groups and cliques. And
this is considerably different, though, right? I mean, this is
I would think so.
You have the way I understood, if I heard the story correctly, you had a red Chrysler driving down the road, firing shots at folks walking or standing on the sidewalk, people that were on the sidewalk. The people that were standing on the sidewalk then jumped into another vehicle, and it does not say in the article, but I would assume pursued them in that car. That is an assumption. But needless to say, the red Chrysler here, it says, was also fired upon and had bullet holes in that car. So this car was retaliating. So this is some kind of a me versus you versus me, back and forth kind of fight with guns here. We have, and I don't know, this is it's just sad. You know, and what makes it interesting, too, is we talk about a lot on conservative radio, you know, the freedom to own guns and to bear arms and things like this. But, you know, how are these kids coming to have these guns? You know, I don't know the age of these people. I don't know their background, but they're free.
They say a group of kids.
Right.
Now, I don't think. Well, I don't know. Go ahead.
Anyway,
you know where they get them, Chris? Let me ask you something. Can I ask you something honestly on the air?
yeah, sure. Do I go to Walmart? Not too often.
No.
Do I own a gun? No.
I know that you are not a drug user. We've worked together long enough now that I know if you used any kind of marijuana or whatever, that kind of stuff.
Yuppers.
If you were to say to me, where can I get some marijuana?
Yeah.
First of all, I'd probably try to talk you out of it.
Right.
But understand, if you need a bag of marijuana, you need a dime bag, which is a $10 bag, or whatever it is, it's right there right now. You could drive right over to 6th Avenue at 3:17 in the afternoon on a Monday, and you could very easily buy that drug plus so many more. You can buy guns. You can buy drugs. I mean, I didn't live in that life years and years ago because I just didn't. Can you imagine me on drugs? I mean, I'm already crazy enough. It's not that I haven't tried some, because I have. But it's just prevalent, dude.
Right, but
I think a 5th grader could get a gun from another 5th grader.
Right, isn't that part of the problem, though? I mean, the problem is the free access that people have to guns, and I don't think it's being cracked down on enough. And unfortunately, sometimes conservatives who are all for the Second Amendment fight against what should be being cracked down on, which is the easy access to guns.
Well,
that should be cracked down on harder.
Go ahead, Frank.
A lot of it is home invasion, home theft, where they get some of these guns. People breaking in other people's homes, and they get these guns, and they sold on the black market.
Just remember that it is criminals who are doing bad things with guns. It is not law-abiding. So we don't need to punish the law-abiding citizen.
But we need to punish criminals.
All right, we're coming back. 515-244-0077. It's your voice I want to hear live in Mac's World. Jill just texted me, I'm a distraction?
Credit cards are like grandkids. They love you, sometimes get out of control, and it's fun to get a new one. Who can stop them from piling on?
Hi, I'm Tom Coates with Consumer Credit of Des Moines. At the end of the day, you can return the grandkids, but you're stuck paying off bad credit card debt. We'll help you put the fun back into using credit cards responsibly. Right, kids?
Yeah! If you need help getting credit cards off your back, call Consumer Credit of Des Moines.
Hi, my name is David Burrier, your Hope Coach. I host a live weekly talk show called I've Been There every Thursday afternoon at 5:30, right here on webcast1live.com, and on my weekly radio program Saturday mornings at 10 on Truth Network 99.3 FM. I interview common everyday people who have survived incredible life challenges and who testify to God's faithfulness in the midst of their storms. So join me as we bring a message of hope and encouragement. Everybody needs hope. I know, because I've been there.
Hey everybody, I brought Northern Lights Pizza! And it's got Graziano sausage!
Rockton Prevention is celebrating 25 years of creating a caring community. We want to say thank you to the tens of thousands of Rock High School mentors that have carried our message of health, love, and encouragement to over 1.5 million children, teachers, and parents. Our mentors teach children methods and skills to prevent bullying and drug use. Thank you to all the school administrators, teachers, and counselors for their opportunity to serve you. Rock on, fair citizens, rock on! This is Pat McManus for Rockton Prevention, the Richard O. Jacobson Foundation, and this station.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live. From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
21 minutes after 3/21, 23rd day of May in the Lord's year 2016. I'm J. Michael McCoy. Glad to have you back on a Monday afternoon in Max World. This reminder, a week from today will be Memorial Day. We will be here in thought, not in person. You're not working Labor Day or Memorial Day, are you?
Don't see why not.
Okay, then Chris will be doing Max World that day.
But the question is, did you see Indianapolis 500 qualifying yesterday?
No, I didn't.
Can't believe that.
You know what I did? I forgot all about it. I turned on the TV at whatever time I had, and it was just getting over.
James Hinchcliffe.
He's got the pole so far?
Has the pole.
What was the top speed?
I don't remember. I think it was 230, 238, something.
238 mile an hour in an open wheel car. That's like riding a rocket. Wow. Can't wait for Sunday. Never, never on a Monday. Okay, Jill King said concerning the conversation about the kids having to bail out of a couple schools today because of bomb threats.
Yes.
She's got a comment on that, and I'll share that with you in a little bit. Shots fired in the hood last night. Occupants in two cars. One said the other one shot at the other one, and yet there are bullet holes in both vehicles.
Well, that would corroborate the story, right? People shooting at each other.
Right. Police also talked to a 42-year-old man, said he spotted two male juveniles running north on 5th Avenue. The juveniles said they were scared. The man said he gave them a ride south to 6th and Washington Avenues. Police found the red Chrysler registered to a woman who lived nearby the crime scene an hour and 20 minutes later on Cassidy and Bell. Whew, that's clear over there. There were 3 bullet holes in the passenger side of the car and 1 on the roof. Officers detained the 4 people inside, a 19-year-old, a 17-year-old, a 20-year-old, and an 18-year-old, who all live at the same address under which the car is registered. But the 18 and 19-year-old said they were the only people inside the car when it was shot at while traveling fast on Boston Avenue near 5th Avenue.
Yeah, those are the people driving in the red Chrysler, is that right?
Yep.
The red Chrysler shot at other people, right?
Yep.
Folks inside the red Chrysler. Okay.
That's the story.
So we've got a 17, 18, 19, and 20-year-old. Why do they got guns? And what are we going to do about it? They shouldn't have guns.
Okay, what are you going to do about it?
Well, I don't know. That's my question.
Well,
because the conservative movement, every time we bring up taking away guns from people, they go exactly to where you go. They say, well, we don't want to take guns from law-abiding citizens. That's fine. These kids should be punished in some way.
Okay. All right, here.
I don't know what the law is. This isn't what I do all day. I don't practice this all the time. But why aren't we
Are
punishing
these law-abiding citizens, though, Chris?
No.
So do
not.
you think if we pass a law that they're going to stop using guns and obtaining firearms?
It's not about passing law. It's about punishing the criminals.
That's right.
See, I think the problem is, Jeb, and it's a good question. It's a really good question, and I thank you for that because I think it keeps me on my point. My point is we're not punishing criminals in this country. We don't do that. We make it about rhetoric. We make it all about who knows what. They get hired the best lawyers, or they don't get lawyers. If they don't have enough money, they don't get the best lawyers.
Yeah, so
and they're just working the system.
You're jumping into that whole narrative that the African American race will tell you that it's not fair to have stricter gun laws when you find a gun on a individual who that person does not own the gun, he hasn't registered it, maybe he's used it, he can't prove it's not, the file numbers filed away, whatever that is. So if we say, okay, if we catch somebody under the age, well, it should be anybody. So if we catch somebody with a gun and they don't have it properly licensed or permitted, then they go to jail for 1 year.
The problem then with jail sentence, right, is one of the things with the jail sentence for things like this is most often times kids without good male or female, there's not good leaders in their home directing them to do good things. So if we take somebody who's a young person who's making poor choices like this, getting access to guns they shouldn't have access to, firing at people just firing at people, which they shouldn't be doing. They're attempting murder. This is big stuff. If we have kids doing these things, taking them and just locking them in jail may not do what we want to do. Because what we could be doing is we could be taking this individual, putting them in jail. Now we're putting them in a situation where once they get out of jail, they are in potentially worse shape than they were when they went in jail. So I'm not telling you I have an answer. I'm saying our problem, though, is not about gun rights. Our problem is about our government having a difficult time punishing criminals. And I don't know what the right thing to do is. I really don't know what the right thing to do is. Does anybody have an idea?
Mandatory minimums.
I just told you what you do.
But mandatory. We had a broadcaster. Not broadcaster. We had a lawyer in here several weeks ago. Now I don't know how long ago it was. Made a really convincing argument that if you have mandatory minimums all the time, then anything from survival type crimes. Okay, I'm going to call that theft, right? So if you're robbing a convenience store to get money or whatever because you don't have money, or you're trying to make a rent, you're trying to do whatever, you're trying to take care of yourself, you're stealing from others because you don't have enough to take care of yourself, you're doing survival type crimes. Now you have a minimum sentence of 6-7 years. You're in jail for 7 years. You come out a completely different person than you were when you were inside. If you were a parent, if you were a father or a mother in that circumstance, now the kids are suffering. Now you've got a whole community of people that are suffering more and more and more and more because of the choices they're making, and then we're punishing them in a way that just creates a cycle where the folks have fewer and fewer positive role models.
All right, so in other words, what I hear you saying is we don't need to increase punishment or determine punishment for a person who is a criminal.
I'm saying it's not as easy as locking someone up.
Okay, give me another solution then.
I'm not 100% sure.
Well, the one we have now is you lock them up. And by the way, that's the one we've had since the beginning of time. If somebody's doing something that threatens the safety of others in the community, you lock them up.
Oh, I'm not saying we don't lock them up. I'm just saying, is there something that can be done? I just don't know.
How about you do this? How about the person who's got the gun, you take the gun and you shoot him in the top of the foot.
Well, see, then what happens is,
you'll know them by their limp. Here comes Limpy. Oh, what happened to Limpy? Polio? Nope. He fired a gun in public. It was illegal, so they shot him in the foot.
Right. That's what Sharia law is, right? I mean, that's if you steal under
they chop your hand off.
Muslim law or Islamic law. If you violate the Islamic law by stealing, they take your hand off, at least in theory. Obviously, I've never lived in a place where that actually happens. So
you think that's a good idea?
No, I don't know that I think it's a good idea.
All right, so you don't want to put them in jail. You don't want to put a consequence on them that is reflective of the crime they've just committed.
Right.
What's left? The only thing, I'm going to answer the question for you. The only thing, Mr. Lefty, you've got left is take away the guns. Right? That's your answer.
That's Hillary's answer.
I think that's Chris's answer.
Oh, I don't think
so. You're going to punish law-abiding citizens who have a constitutional right to have that gun.
Right, but would that be the worst thing in the whole world?
To take away guns? Yeah, it would be.
Definitely one of the top.
Yeah, it'd be one of the top ones.
Why is that?
Why? Because then you have no action against your government should it turn against you.
And that's why we have guns.
That's right. We have guns, so if you, Mr. Mayor, you, Mr. President, decide that you're going to come down on me just because you want to, I've got a gun to protect myself and my home.
Right. When the United States was formed, it was formed by rebels. I'm not encouraging people to break the law here on this. But the United States of America was founded by rebels who would have said to you, if the government takes your guns or they pass a law that says they're going to take your guns, don't give it to them. If what you think is so important and it's so critical, it's a principle that you must live by, then there is no law that can stop it. That's the point of a right. If you have a right to bear arms, then there is no law that can take that right from you. So if the United States government...
your side has been making laws to take our guns away for years.
My side?
Well, you're certainly not a conservative when you talk of this, are you?
I would hope that I'm a liberty-loving person.
A liberty-loving person.
A freedom-loving person.
Okay, well, people who want freedom have to have guns because sometimes the only way you protect that freedom is by force.
Right. What I'm saying is, if you believe that owning a gun is your right,
it is.
Okay. If you believe that, then it doesn't matter if they pass a law to take your gun away.
Frank, go ahead.
Okay, what I thought I heard you say a little bit ago is you want our laws enforced that's on the books. Was that correct?
Yeah. I would like that. I think that it seems to me, and I'm ignorant, man. I don't know everything. But it seems to me that one of the problems is we don't punish criminals.
That's
that
right.
criminals go free in the United States.
That's right. But that's what you just said. Punishment doesn't work, so let's not. I did not say
punishment does not work. It's absolutely not what I said.
Okay.
I said it's not as simple as just lock them up.
Yeah,
I said
is.
Okay, that's fine. But what you're doing then over time is you're creating more and more social societal problems by just locking up folks.
Well,
But I don't care about my neighbor, and it really doesn't matter what my neighbor thinks, and I don't really care because that's them, and it's not me, and I don't care about them.
They caused it. The consequence for what they did puts them away from society.
Right.
Brands them as a criminal.
Right. It has trickle-down effect, though, doesn't it? I mean, it has an effect on a larger community. So it has effect on people who live in the city of Des Moines. It affects the economy of Des Moines.
All right, let's check out the Service Legends Truth text line for a minute. Bob Montserrat, the Cat in the Hat, watching that. It's 809-0993, 809-0993. Bob, what do you got?
If you take guns from law-abiding citizens, then the only people that will have them will be the criminals.
Here's what I'm saying to that wonderful and awesome text. Here's what I would say to that wonderful and awesome text, and it is a good text, and it is the text that I hear all the time from a conservative, and it is the right response, except that I say to that conservative, and I'm not condoning law breaking here, but if you believe that owning a gun is a right, then it doesn't matter if the United States government outlaws gun ownership. You continue to own the gun and suffer the consequences, if there are any, for owning the gun. If you believe in something, you fight for it. And the way you fight for it is you don't play this rhetoric of saying, well, they're just going to take my guns away. They're not going to take your guns away. The law on a piece of paper doesn't take your rights away. It doesn't give you rights, nor does it take your rights away. If you believe that owning a gun is a right, there is no law that can stop you from doing it. It's not possible. All that's going to happen is you're going to suffer the consequences for your right. You can have a tyrannical government that it comes against you and tries to take it from you, but then you may suffer the consequences for those things.
If you use the gun in a criminal act, then you lose the right to own a gun. We had that on the radio just a few weeks ago. You get out of prison in Iowa, you don't get a vote, and you don't get your gun back.
And that's good.
That's very good. All right, let's go to the phones. 244-0077. Hi, you're live in Mac's World. Who's this?
This is Randy.
Hey, Randy. How are
Randy.
you?
Hey, I've been listening to you guys. I listen to you every day. I love your show.
Thank you very much for listening.
And God bless you for the work you guys are doing.
Hey, thank you.
I think you open up a lot of minds, but you keep saying that owning a gun is a right. And I believe when they wrote the Constitution and put the Second Amendment in, it was more of a duty of the citizens of this country to own a gun to be able to protect this country if it was ever invaded or possibly taken over.
You're talking about a standing militia?
Right.
Yeah.
So, but now what we're doing is we're letting the feel-good people take over the country by the pen and the paper.
Yeah.
And I think that we need to stop doing that because I truly believe that, and I own a gun, and I believe that owning a gun is a duty.
All right, this is going to be a topic for the next segment. What do we do? It's your voice I want to hear live in Mac's World. Thank you, Randy, for calling. Love you, brother. Thanks for calling. 244-0077. We're coming back live here on The Truth.
Northern Lights Pizza's amazing garlic butter makes amazing breadsticks. Now available in 12-ounce bottles at Northern Lights, Hy-Vee, and Graziano's.
Northern Lights Pizza. I'm Brian Leach, owner of Service Legends, and my position is Chief Talent Officer.
I'm Nicholas Wonderscheid.
I am Bernie Homs,
And I'm the Service Manager.
Marketing Director and Client Relations Manager.
Everything that we do is about ensuring that we exceed your expectations.
Our clients are important to us. 100% satisfaction.
We're not just focused on heating and cooling. That's the easiest part of our job, actually, is fixing furnaces and air conditioners.
Everyone that we come in touch with, we want to improve lives.
Bottom line is, we've got our installation guarantees, 25% energy savings guarantee, comfort guarantee, temperature selection guarantee, property protection guarantee.
100% satisfaction guaranteed. Fixed rate or it's free.
All of those guarantees are backed up with a 100% money back guarantee to hold ourselves accountable to making sure that you get what you're after.
Just fixing the problem today. If they have another problem 5 days down the road, it's still fixed rate or it's free.
We use what's called straightforward pricing. Our technicians are going to give you an exact to-the-penny price on what it's going to take before they move forward with any repair. That way you know what to expect.
It's the same price every day.
No surprises.
If you get off work at 5 o'clock in the afternoon, you come home, you realize that, oh, my furnace is broken. Now you need to call somebody out that night. You shouldn't have to pay more for that.
We're guaranteeing service 24/7.
We run afternoons, evenings, nights, weekends. We're staffed to work that.
Phone rings at 3 in the morning. You'll get one of our representatives answering the phone every time.
We're not sending you out to Timbuktu in some call center. It's our Service Legend team members, our mission control team.
I'll take a call anytime.
And then they answer the phones the same way during the day as they do at night.
It's a great day at your service company. How can we make you smile?
That's the only way to provide true 24-hour service.
When you're able to let somebody actually live in their home safely when they weren't able to do that before, where they don't have to stay up at night and worry about, is the heat going to come back on? Are we going to freeze the pipes? Is the baby in the room next door going to be sick because they got too cold? When you're able to help somebody overcome challenges like that, that's impacting a life. That makes a difference. I get goosebumps thinking about it.
I love the team. I love the people that I work with.
We have fun, but we work hard.
I call them my ambassadors of legendary service. If you could just envision what that is, that's who we're sending to your home.
They literally will call in, pick up the phone and call and say, hey, I want to talk to your manager. And I get on the phone, they're like, that technician that was at my house was the greatest technician ever. That's cool to me.
We want to brighten people's days.
Every person that we have going into the house has gone through an extensive background check.
Drug testing, we have a very thorough interview process that 1 out of 140 people make it through.
If we promise you something, that's what you're going to get, no matter what.
We're here when you need us to protect the safety and comfort of your family.
If you're not happy, we're going to make it right.
If we're willing to put 100% money back guarantee on what we do, what type of work do you think we do?
Give us a call. We're there for you 24/7, 365 days a year.
Enough said.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
3:38, 22 minutes before the top of the hour. Top of the hour, Salem Radio Network News, and then Lauren Merkel and Mr. Weiss will be in to answer your questions about retirement. Weiss and Merkel. No, Weiss and Merkel. My guys. And Bob went to the seminar last week, so I'll be curious to hear some from Bob about their seminar they went through. Get some firsthand action, firsthand responses. All right, the conversation is about a group of kids. That's the way the police said it. This is the report. A group of kids were involved in several shootings over around 5th, 6th, and University. And Mr. Roloff said, we need to do something about having kids with guns. What do we do about it? And I said, well, I think you punish them. You know, you make it a real bad punishment. You're caught with a gun, and you don't have it licensed, you don't have it registered, you don't have it, et cetera, et cetera. Which, by the way, Chris, that's one of the way the left has hurt our right to own a gun. You say, well, they haven't taken away your right to own a gun. No, but they have done so many things that make it difficult. You have to be licensed, you have to have a permit, you have to go through this class, you have to go through this class. And I'm not saying that's wrong, but that's not what the writers of the Constitution intended when they said you have the right to bear arms. It didn't say if it's properly done through the city or the state. So what do we do with these kids? What do we do with people who have guns and aren't supposed to have them, and they're using them for stupid things? 515-229, no, I should probably give you my phone number. 515-244-0077. Let's go to John. John, you are live in Max World. What do you think we ought to do, John?
Well, I think they ought to be severely punished. A gun is not a toy. I just want to say that I've owned guns for over 50 years, and they've never hurt anybody. So it falls on the person that's holding that gun, the responsibility. And I don't know. I think our government our Second Amendment right was, from what I was taught, was put in there so that we can keep our government in check.
Right.
The best way for the government to control the people, take away their arm. So that's my 2 cents worth, for whatever it's worth.
John, your 2 cents worth is it's about $4 it's worth to me. So it's worth a lot.
Well, I don't plan on surrendering my guns, and I don't think they have a right to take them away. They're trying to close the gate after the cattle get out.
Yeah. Yes, they are.
I've taught hunter safety courses. I've been a licensed dealer. You know, it's all on how it's addressed. You teach the kids to respect it. And they'll, you know, I never had my guns locked up as a kid. I always had access to them, but you never pulled them down to show off with them. You never pointed. If I was a kid, when I was growing up, if I pointed a stick at somebody and acted like it was a gun, my dad would just smack me.
Yeah, absolutely. You don't act with respect and you act like an idiot, you're going to lose your gun. John, I appreciate you calling in today.
Well, I just wanted to maybe ask John what he thinks that Hollywood's position on this ought to be, where they glamorize gun usage.
How about video games?
Well, exactly. Hollywood is always outraged when there's a shooting, but they're the ones that's glamorizing gun usage in their Hollywood movies.
It's not Hollywood. It's not literature. It's not the arts. They just tell a story of what's going on.
All right, let's go to Corey. Corey, you're live in Max World. Well, what should we do when people have guns and they use them illegally?
Well, thanks for taking my call. The first thing that we need to do in America is make jail a deterrent. It's not a deterrent, especially for a lot of these kids that are repeat offenders. And if jail was a deterrent, I think it would deter. I mean, if it was a horrible situation for them, you know, they don't get the greatest food and they have to do a little bit of manual labor, and they don't get TV and they don't get magazines, they don't get to work on their college education. You know, make an actual deterrent. It might actually keep some people out of jail rather than people going back into jail over and over again. So I think you need to start there with a reform of the prison system. You know, you get a guy like Joe Arpaio out in Maricopa County in Arizona, and he does those kinds of things, and his recidivation rate is very low. Well, it's lower than the national standard. He makes it difficult for those guys out there. But he's a guy that gets raked across the coals every time he does something like that, and I don't understand why people are so outraged about treating criminals like criminals.
Well, Corey, that's what I was thinking. What if we brought back chain gangs? Let's make prison worse than prison. No cable TV, no air conditioning, just enough heating so you don't freeze to death, 3 squares and a cot, minimum medical, and you're on a chain gang all day long. And you know where you take those chain gangs? You take them in the middle of the areas where those people live. I don't mind seeing them out on Hickman Road out in Clive or Waukee where I live. That's a good reminder. But you ought to make sure you're reminding these young people in these areas where this kind of violence is prevalent. That's where you take the chain gangs. So those kids, those little 8, 9, 10-year-old kids can see these people chained together, working hot blacktop roads or moving snow or whatever it is. How about that?
I think that's an excellent idea. I go back to when I was a kid. You know, I was a high schooler, and I told my dad when I was done with school over the summer, I said, you know, Dad, I don't think I'm going to mow lawns this year. He goes, that's cool. That's your decision. But here's what we're going to do instead of you mowing lawns. So I got a big, giant wood pile in the back, and tomorrow you're going to go and you're going to move it over 5 feet, and then you're going to come in, you're going to have some lunch and some water, and then you're going to go back out there, and you're going to move that wood pile back over to where it was. And you're going to do that every day this summer. So what that told me was, I don't want to do that. That sounds like a real terrible thing. So I'm going to go ahead and work hard and earn some money and stay out of trouble this summer. Well, these guys go into jail and they have to do this hard work, and they come out and they tell all their buddies, oh my God, you do not want to go there. It is horrible there. They may think twice about stealing a car radio or shooting up a neighborhood. That's just what I think. You know, they do it at, where is it in, where they, well, anyway, that's what I think we should do. We got to do that. And
all right.
Thank you so much for your time.
Hey, John, you call anytime. Or Corey, I'm sorry. Corey, you call anytime. I appreciate your voice. 515-244-0077. Who else? The 7-star general himself and the head of defense strategy for Max World Live, General Brad Sand. Brad, how are you?
A new title, the head of defense strategy. That's awesome.
Is that a new? Department of Defense. Isn't that? I said it wrong.
Well, no, I like that one too. So I'll just keep adding to my resume.
All right, good. So what do you think? You're a gun guy, so I'm dying to hear what you think on this.
I'm a gun guy, but before I'm a gun guy, I'm a Constitution guy, and I think if you look at the Bill of Rights, you'll see right before the Second Amendment, there's a First Amendment, and since Chris is so willing to throw the Second Amendment under the bus, and since he was inciting our fellow citizens to revolution and inciting violence against the government, I think it's time we throw the First Amendment out too and have a government regulator sitting there on the air next to Chris to make sure he doesn't, say anything that's inciting violence like that.
You think liberal Chris, liberal Roloff is inciting violence? Really?
Well, I mean, why would we not protect the Second Amendment and then still protect the First Amendment?
Brad?
So, yes.
Hey, bud. I was totally with you on inciting violence. I could definitely be seen as possibly inciting violence, but it is to say that if what I mean to say is that if a person believes that owning a gun is a right, it is your right, that means that no law can stop you from owning a gun. There is no law. You cannot be stopped from owning a gun. I'm saying that I don't need the Second Amendment to own a gun. Because if I believe that owning a gun, I'm not saying I do, I'm saying if a person believes that owning a gun is a right, there is no law that can take that gun from you. What can happen is a law can be passed that can attempt to take that gun from you. And as the government becomes to take your guns, that there may be a need for you to defend yourself. That's what I'm saying. I'm saying that if it is a right, then it cannot be taken away by law. If that's what you in fact believe.
I agree with you that we the people need to stand up and when these laws are put in place that are unconstitutional.
Yeah, we need to fight on them. Brad, thanks for calling in. I appreciate it. 515-244-0077. It's your voice I want to hear live here in Max World.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
Credit cards are like grandkids. They love you, sometimes get out of control, and it's fun to get a new one. Who can stop them from piling on?
Hi, I'm Tom Coates with Consumer Credit of Des Moines. At the end of the day, you can return the grandkids, but you're stuck paying off bad credit card debt. We'll help you put the fun back into using credit cards responsibly. Right, kids?
Yeah! If you need help getting credit cards off your back, call Consumer Credit of Des Moines.
Rock and Prevention is celebrating 25 years of creating a caring community. We want to say thank you to the tens of thousands of Rock High School mentors that have carried our message of health, love, and encouragement to over 1.5 million children, teachers, and parents. Our mentors teach children methods and skills to prevent bullying and drug use. Thank you to all the school administrators, teachers, and counselors for their opportunity to serve you. Rock on, fair citizens, rock on! This is Pat McManus for Rock and Prevention, the Richard O. Jacobson Foundation, and this station.
Northern Lights Pizza, your home of the tasty crust. Our garlic butter sauce now available in 12-ounce bottles at Northern Lights, Hy-Vee, and Graziano's.
Northern Lights Pizza. Hi, my name is David Burrier, your Hope Coach. I host a live weekly talk show called I've Been There every Thursday afternoon at 5:30, right here on webcast1live.com, and on my weekly radio program Saturday mornings at 10 on Truth Network 99.3 FM. I interview common, everyday people who have survived incredible life challenges and who testify to God's faithfulness in the midst of their storms. So join me as we bring a message of hope and encouragement. Everybody needs hope. I know, because I've been there.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live. From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
10 minutes before 4 o'clock, live here in Max World on 99.3, brand new station, brand new old show. Still me, talking local stuff, talking about what impacts our community, talking about it with a different heart than I had before. Sometimes, but sometimes I feel that old cranky entitlement, majority, bigoted, racist loudmouth come out. Yes, I said me, Frank.
So would you be what we called in our day grumpy old white guy?
Sure. I think you can still call that. But I did have some fun this weekend. I got to tell you, I've been looking for a couple rental properties. And so I got to spend, 4 hours on Saturday with Seth Walker, my real estate guy. And I just want to encourage you to call Seth if you're ever looking for real estate or you're looking to buy a home, maybe the first time, maybe the last time. You're downsizing, you're upsizing. Oops, I'm pregnant again. We need a bigger house. Whatever it is, call Seth, 577-3728. He's not my friend. He and I are very friendly, but he is a professional real estate agent. He's not interested in winning you over to like him. He's interested in under-promising and over-delivering. Under-promising and over-delivering on his services to you. Seth Walker, 577-3728. All right, I wanted to get to this school thing, but we've still got a few more people who want to talk about guns, and we also have someone on the Service Legends Truth text line. Bob Montserrat is going to check us out.
Absolutely. It said the schools now have mandatory 6-week courses for kids like computer tech and home economics. One of those should be a firearm safety and awareness course.
Absolutely. Would you agree with that, Mr. Lifty?
You know what? I think it's really funny. I went to get some hot water in the break because I don't feel $100, but I agree 100% with that text. But here's the thing: is, and I think it was John. I can't remember now. I apologize, sir. It was one of our callers who actually called in and talked about respect for guns. And here again, I think this kind of goes to for those who think that owning a gun is a right. If that's you, if you think I have the right to bear arms. If you think that, then what that means is that right needs to be protected, but it also needs to be evangelized for. You need to share about that. You need to share about what guns are for, why they are used, why and when they are appropriate to have, and a healthy respect for guns. In fact, it would be fantastic to go into, as the folks here on the panel have said, into those neighborhoods. And actually teach kids in those neighborhoods what guns are for and properly how to use them and how to respect.
Why do you say it that way?
To mock you.
Well, but you're being...
What?
That's just rude.
I'm rude?
It did happen in those neighborhoods. It doesn't happen in your neighborhood. Doesn't happen in mine. That doesn't mean there won't be a shooting in Clive, Iowa, or in Urbandale, Iowa, or Clive, Iowa, or whatever that area is you live, Frank.
Mac, I took it as he was talking about my neighborhood because I trained all my kids when they were young.
Yeah, you're a gun guy.
That's what you should do in your neighborhood.
Yeah.
But you.
These are the people in my neighborhood. In my neighborhood.
You sound like a racist person when you say, "Oh, Mac's talking about people in those neighborhoods," meaning, those people. No, I'm stating a fact. You're the one that makes it a racial issue by saying that I'm making a race statement. I'm not. I'm making a cultural statement.
Here's the deal. What happens is conservatives play victim. What they do is they whine. Conservatives say, they can't take my guns away. I have a right to bear arms. I have a right to have a gun. Then have a gun, my friend. Have a gun. And if the law comes and they decide that they want to take your gun away, you have the right to have a gun. But the law is of no concern to you. Have confidence in it. What you should be more upset about, if you think that guns are important and a healthy part of our society, if you think that guns are good and they're a healthy part of our society, what you should do is you should take your knowledge and share it to folks in areas where they don't have a healthy respect for guns.
So what if
teach them how to have a healthy respect for gun, because they then have a right to have a gun too. And these young kids here who were in this shooting in the car, these kids have a right to own guns too.
Here's what I'm going to do. You got me a little cranked off here. So I'm going to go to those neighborhoods and I'm going to grab a couple of those kids.
Yeah.
And we'll bring them here on the radio.
Right.
And I want you to tell them what you just said to me.
What?
Now, children, don't be playing with guns. This is the consequence of it. Please don't play with guns. Guns are not playthings. And you're gonna find. See, you're too lily white. You need to hang around those neighborhoods and have one of those 17-year-old kids hold a gun on the side, not up top, on the side, and he's got his pants hanging halfway down his backside, and he's going to give you all this narrative and this lingo that talks about how you're privileged and blah, 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 and you're going to go, crap. These people choose to be so poorly educated.
If you think that owning a gun is a right, I encourage you to teach firearm safety and a healthy respect for guns to all kids. Teach your kids, teach kids in your community, hold programs. Go to all kinds of different neighborhoods. If you find out about a neighborhood where there are frequent shootings, maybe it's because the kids in that neighborhood don't have a healthy understanding and respect for guns. Maybe they, as Mac described, hold guns improperly, and they don't have a respect for guns or for their neighbor. If you have a healthy respect for guns, I would encourage you to serve your community in that way.
Why don't we just show a real respect for life and stop killing babies in the womb?
But what happens?
Then maybe people will begin to believe that life has a value.
Why don't we stop giving people video games and move them back to tabletop board games so that
there's
they can
the plan right there.
It's been proven that those video games do not condone gun violence.
If we're going to throw out if we're going to throw out things that have no relevance to what we're talking about, let's talk about board games. I was playing board games over the weekend.
What happens though if we start putting the screws into gun dealers and gun manufacturers and there's no guns available to buy? I mean, all they have to do is dry up the supply of bullets, dry up the supply of guns, and they will quickly run you out of...
and they've been doing that, Frank.
Yes, they
magazine capacities, bullets,
absolutely.
like you said.
Yep.
Well, then I think maybe it's not a right to have a gun if they can take it away so easily.
If it's not a right, do you believe in evil?
Yay! Yay, Jebediah! That's my boy right there. That's my boy. You. All right. You got any more texts on this subject?
Nope.
All right. We're going to change subjects. We got two subjects next hour. We've got Weiss and Merkel coming in, but I got to get to this school thing. We have had two schools today. Okay, and this was at 2:00 this afternoon. We've had two schools, Valley High School and an Altoona. Is it a middle school or is it? It's an elementary school in Altoona. So somebody, maybe the same person, maybe two different people, decided to terrorize a bunch of elementary kids by being told they had a bomb in the building and if they didn't get out quick, they were going to die. Holy Toledo, people. What do we do with that terrorist? And I don't think he's brown. I don't think he's from Somalia. I don't think he's ISIS. I think he's some kid who just wanted to see what would happen. Tragic. That's the tragedy in America right now. All right, we're taking a break. We're coming back live here on Mac's World. Thank you very much for listening.